Hi, students and friends. This is your host and teacher, Sir AYAZ. You're watching Learn and Teach by Sir AYAZ. So I'm continuing my O-level past papers session. I was doing IGCSE Chemistry 0620. Last time I've solved paper 21. This time I have selected paper 22. That's variant 22. The course code for IGCSE is 0620. It's of May-June 2024. It's paper 2 multiple choice for the extended version. The time is 45 minutes. There are 40 questions in this paper. You have to answer all the questions. You can use calculator. The total mark for this paper is 40. Periodic table is printed in the question paper. Any rough working should be done on this question paper. So let's start the paper. Here's question number 1. Which gas has the slowest rate of diffusion? We have H2, NH3, CH4, CO2. The rate of diffusion depends on the size, mass, or density of the particle. If the mass is high, then the rate of diffusion will be slow. Rate of diffusion decreases with increase in mass. Decreases with increase in mass or density. So I will work out the MR of these. So we'll be able to know which one has the slowest rate of diffusion. For hydrogen, this is the periodic table. If you look at the hydrogen, it's here. AR is 1 for hydrogen. So 1 multiplied by 2, it must be having 2 as its MR. MR for hydrogen is 2. What about ammonia, NH3? Nitrogen is here in group 5, 14 is the AR. We have 1 atom of nitrogen. So 14 plus 3 atoms of hydrogen, 3 multiplied by 1, it becomes 17. What about CH4? Carbon is in group 4. 12 is its AR. So 12 plus 4 multiplied by 1, we get 16. What about CO2? Oxygen, 16. We have 2 atoms of oxygen in carbon dioxide. CO2 is carbon dioxide. 1 atom of carbon means 12 plus 2 multiplied by 16. And adding up these will become 44. So carbon dioxide must be the right answer in this case because it's having the high MR. Number 2, which statements about the position of the elements in the periodic table are correct? Number 1, elements in the same group have similar chemical properties. This statement is correct because in the same group they have same chemical properties. So if one is correct, so either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. Number 2, elements in the same period have similar chemical properties. This is incorrect because in the same period they have different groups coming in between. So they can't have similar chemical properties. Chemical properties depend on the number of valence electrons. Same group means they have same number of valence electrons. Same group, same number of valence electron. That's why they are having same chemical properties if they are in the same group. So statement number 2 is incorrect. What about 3? Elements in the same group have the same number of electron shells. So in the same group, if the elements are in the same group, they can't have same number of electron shells. They have same number of electrons, but they can't have same number of electron shells. This is incorrect. 4 must be correct. For the convenience, I am reading the last statement. That is 4. Elements in the same group have the same number of outer shell electrons. This is correct. So 1 and 4 is correct. So B will be the right choice in this case. Number 3. Which statements about isotopes are correct? What are isotopes? Isotopes are the different atoms of the same element with same number of protons but different number of neutrons. I'm reading the 4 statements. And let's narrow down the choices here. Statement number 1. Isotopes are atoms of different elements with the same number of protons. One is incorrect because they are atoms of the same element, not different. So statement number 1 is incorrect. So if statement number 1 is incorrect, means A and B is incorrect. Either C is correct or D is correct. Isotopes of the same element have the same chemical properties. Yes, this is correct because chemical properties depend on the number of electrons. So as there are atoms of the same element, they are definitely having same number of electrons. So they must have same chemical properties. So 2 is correct. So if 2 is correct, so definitely C must be the right answer. D should be incorrect. For your convenience, I am reading the other statements also. Number 3, isotopes are atoms with the same relative atomic mass. This is incorrect. They definitely have different relative atomic mass because they have different number of neutrons. Different number of neutrons. So this is incorrect. Let's read the last statement. Statement number 4, isotopes of the same element have the same electronic configuration. This is also correct. As they are having same number of electrons, they are definitely having same electronic configuration. Electronic configuration means distribution of electrons in different shells. Moving to next MCQ, which is number 4. Which diagram shows the arrangement of the outer shell electrons in a molecule of water? So formula for the water is H2O, which means there will be one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. If you look at the periodic table, oxygen is in group 6. The valence electron in oxygen is 6, which means it needs 2 electrons to complete its valence shell. What about hydrogen? Hydrogen does not belong to any group, but it has only 1 electron, which means hydrogen needs 1 electron to complete its valence shell. So the 2 hydrogen atoms, both will share one of their valence electron, their only valence electron, which with oxygen atom. For oxygen, it will share 2 of its valence electrons with each oxygen atom. So if you look at the choices, choice C must be the right here. For your convenience, I am explaining the other choices. In choice A, the total number of valence electrons for oxygen is missing. So this can't be the correct answer. In B, they have shown 2 valence electrons for hydrogen atoms. It's also incorrect. What about D? In D, they have shown only 2 valence electrons of oxygen. So this is also incorrect. So C must be the right choice in this case. Number 5. Structures of 3 substances are shown. 1, 2, 3. Which substances are hard and have a high melting point? Now, 1 is graphite, is allotrope of carbon. 2, it's a diamond, tetrahedral arrangement. It's also allotrope of carbon. What about 3? 3 is silicon 4 oxide. It's a compound. Remember, it's not an element. Silicon 4 oxide. Now, they are saying which substances are hard and have a high melting point. Now, one thing is sure that these all have high melting points, but only diamond and silicon 4 oxide are hard. Graphite is not hard. So D must be the right answer for this MCQ. Other choices are incorrect. Number 6, information about 4 substances W, X, Y, and Z is shown. W, X, Y, and Z are graphite, polythene, sodium chloride, and silicon 4 oxide, but not in that order. What are W, X, Y, and Z? Now, graphite exists in the solid state with high melting point and it conducts electricity. Polythene also exists in the solid state, but it does not have high melting point and it also does not conduct electricity. So X must be graphite in this case, and Y must be polythene. What about W and Z? Sodium chloride must have high melting point, but it conducts electricity only in the molten state. So Z must be sodium chloride. What about silicon 4 oxide? Silicon 4 oxide also have high melting point, does not conduct electricity when solid. So W must be silicon 4 oxide. So if W is silicon 4 oxide, so D must be the right answer in this case. All the other choices are incorrect. Moving to the next MCQ, which is number 7. The structure of glycine is shown. Which row is correct? Formula of glycine and number of different elements in glycine. Now let's count the different elements in glycine. We have nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. So there are 4 different elements in the glycine. So either B is correct or D is correct. Both A and C is incorrect. What about the formula of glycine? We have 2C, C2, only 1 atom of nitrogen, 2 atoms of oxygen, O2. What about hydrogen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, H5. C2H5, O2N. So B must be the right answer in this case. D is the incorrect choice. 8. The incomplete equation for photosynthesis is shown. We have W moles of CO2, which is carbon dioxide, plus X moles of H2O to give P plus YO2. P must be glucose. The formula for P is C6H12O6. Which row describes the values of W, X, and Y and gives the empirical formula of compound P? So, first of all, I'm going to work out the empirical formula of compound P. In this way, we'll narrow down the choices. So, the empirical formula for compound P, which is C6H12O6, will be CH2O. So, either A is correct or C is correct. Both B and D is incorrect. What about the values for W, X, and Y? So we have W at 6 CO2. What about X? It is also 6 H2O. And what about the oxygen? You'll be getting 6 moles of O2. If you count the number of each element on both sides of the equation, these all are balanced. What about carbon? Let's start with carbon. 6 atoms of carbon, it's balanced. Hydrogen, 6 to the 12, it's balanced. Oxygen, 6 to the 12, 12 plus 6, 18. 6 plus 12, it's also balanced. So A must be the right answer in this case. W, X, and Y are all the same. 9. The concentration and volume of an aqueous alkali are known. Which additional information is required to calculate the number of moles of acid needed to neutralize the aqueous alkali? We need equation. It's very important because you can't work out the number of moles of acid needed to neutralize the aqueous alkali. We need the equation for acid alkali reaction. So B must be the right answer in this case. All the other choices are incorrect. The next question, which is question number 10. Which statement about electrolysis is correct? Now, electrolysis, what is electrolysis? It's made up of 2 terms. Electrolysis. Electro means electricity, lysis means breakdown. Using electricity breakdown of the ionic substance or ionic compound. So choice A, what they are saying, electrons move through the electrolyte from cathode to the anode. This is incorrect because electron does not move in the electrolyte. It's ions that move through the electrolyte. Electrons move in the wire. B, electrons move in the external circuit towards the cathode. This statement looks correct to me because electrons move in the external circuit from anode to cathode. So this looks correct to me. For your convenience, I am reading the other statements also. C, negative ions move in the external circuit towards the anode. This is incorrect. We don't have ions moving in the external circuit. We have electrons moving in the external circuit. So C is incorrect. What about D? Positive ions move through the electrolyte towards the anode. This is incorrect. Incorrect. Positive ions move towards the cathode, not anode. So this is also incorrect. So B must be the right answer in this case. Number 11. Aqueous copper 2 sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. What is the half equation for the reaction at the cathode? Now, if you are using copper electrodes during the electrolysis of copper 2 sulfate at cathode, Cu2 plus ion moves plus 2 or 2 plus ion moves in order to gain electron, and at anode dissolves to compensate the loss of Cu plus 2 ion in the solution. Dissolves. Okay, so the equation at cathode must be the Cu2 plus ion gaining electrons. So D must be the right answer in this case. 3 statements about activation energy EA are listed. 1. Colliding particles must have at least EA before they can react. Definitely, colliding particles must have at least activation energy before they are going to react. This is the minimum energy the colliding particles must have to react. So 1 is the right statement. So either A is correct, B is correct, or C is correct. D is incorrect. Number 2, EA for exothermic reaction is always greater than for endothermic reactions. So for your convenience, I'm going to show this exothermic reaction pathway. You have product at the low energy state. This is exothermic. And this one is EA. For the endothermic, you have product at the high energy state. Let's have hum. And if you look at the difference, it shows clearly that EA for endothermic is higher for endothermic, not for exothermic. So D is incorrect. So if D is incorrect, so A and B is incorrect. C must be the right answer in this case. For your convenience, I'm reading the last statement. EA is always endothermic. This is correct. Endothermic means it's always positive, which means it's required by the reaction mixture. Activation energy is required, needed. Next MCQ, which is 13. A student adds excess magnesium ribbon to 10 centimeter cube of 0.5 mole per dm cube sulfuric acid. The hydrogen gas produced is collected and its total volume is measured every 10 seconds. The experiment is repeated with 5 centimeter cube of 0.5 mole per dm cube sulfuric acid added to 5 centimeter cube of water using the same mass of magnesium ribbon. Which line on the graph shows the results of the second experiment? Now they have decreased the volume of sulfuric acid. Which line of graph shows the result of the second experiment? This is the second experiment here. So you have less number of moles for sulfuric acid. If you see the volume is low here and they have added water also. So origin experiment, you can see the origin experiment here. The line, dotted lines, it is the origin experiment. So this line for the second experiment, it must be lower than the original experiment. And it also live a level of below the original experiment because of the less number of moles of sulfuric acid. So in this case, D must be the right answer. You can't have C because C is leveling off on the same line with the original experiment. So D must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is number 14. The equation represents the reversible reaction between ethene and steam. We have C2H4G plus H2OG, reversible sign C2H5OHG. Delta H is negative, which means forward direction is exothermic. If forward direction is exothermic in this case, so backward must be endothermic. For convenience, I'm going to write down here endothermic. Which row describes the conditions that produce the greatest yield of ethanol? Now we want greater yield of ethanol. If forward is exothermic, so it must be having low temperature in order to get higher yield of ethanol. So if you look at the temperature only, so which means that either A is correct or C is correct. Both B and D is incorrect because in B and D they have given high temperature. Low temperature will favor the forward direction. What about the pressure? The effect of pressure is applicable to gases only. Effect of pressure applicable to gases only. We have gases on both sides of the equation. I am writing the total number of moles for the reactant side, which is 1 plus 1, 2. 2 moles of the gas on the reactant side. And what about the product side? 1 mole. So high pressure will favor the or shift the equilibrium to the right hand side. High pressure. So which means that C must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is 15. Which row identifies the pressure and the catalyst used for the conversion of sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide in the contact process? This is something which you have to learn by heart. You know the catalyst, it's vanadium 5 oxide. So either B is correct or D is correct. Both A and C is incorrect. What about the pressure? We have low pressure. In order to conversion of sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, we have to compromise with the pressure here. So B must be the right answer in this case. You can't have the high pressure, which is 200 here, because if you increase the pressure, the amount or moles of the corrosive gases will increase on both sides of the equation. 16. Which equation represents a redox reaction? Now in this reaction, you will look at the change in oxidation number in order to decide which one is redox reaction. You know the charge on NO3. NO3 carries minus charge. So obviously Ag is carrying plus charge here. What about the NaCl? NaCl, sodium, is in group 1. So it will carry +1 charge. Chlorine, group 7, it will also carry minus charge. On the product side, they all are carrying same charges. So it means there isn't any change in the oxidation number. No change in oxidation number. So I'm writing here, no change. Oxidation number. So A is incorrect. What about B? We have PCl5 plus H4H2O gives H3PO4 plus 5HCl. PCl5 means phosphorus is on the left hand side and Cl is on the right hand side. So Cl must be having minus charge and P must be carrying positive charge. So if you work out the charge on P, we get plus 5 because there are 5 atoms of chlorine. Each chlorine will be carrying minus charge. So P must be carrying plus 5. What about hydrogen in water? Hydrogen, whenever it's attached to non-metal, it will always carry plus charge. This will be the oxidation number of hydrogen. What about oxygen? Group 6 must be carrying minus 2. Now on the product side, hydrogen attached to non-metals must be carrying plus charge. Phosphorus, I don't know the charge on phosphorus, so I will take it as S. So you have plus 1 multiplied by 3 becomes plus 3 plus X for phosphorus. And we have 4 atoms of oxygen, 4 multiplied by minus 2. There isn't any charge on H3PO4, so it must be 0. Solving this, what we will get? We will get plus 3 plus X minus 8 is equal to 0, or X minus 5 is equal to 0, or X is equal to plus 5. So it means it's carrying plus 5 here. Oxygen minus 2. What about the charge on H and Cl in HCl? H, again, will carry plus charge, Cl carrying minus charge. So there isn't any change in the oxidation number here also. So it's also not a redox reaction. Now in C, you see there's no charge on Fe. There are 3 moles of Fe. It must be having 0 as its oxidation number. And the charge on H in H2O must be plus and oxygen is minus 2. What about the charge on Fe on the product side? We have Fe3O4. Let's solve this. So we have 3X plus we have 4 atoms of oxygen. Oxygen must be carrying minus 2 charge. It's in group 6. So solving this, what we will get? 3X minus 8 is equal to 0. Or X is equal to plus 8 by 3. So it must be carrying a charge, that is, if you divide 8 by 3, what you will get? 2.66. So there is change in the oxidation number of Fe here. What about H2? There is a change in oxidation number of H also. In H2, it must be carrying 0. So H2 from H2O, it will get reduced as the oxidation number increases. So it's reduced. And the oxidation number of Fe increases from Fe to Fe3O4. So it's oxidation. So C must be the right answer in this case. No need to work on D because the charge on Mg is plus 2 is in group 2. Carbonate ions carrying minus 2 charge. HCl, hydrogen attached to non-metal, must be carrying plus charge. Cl carrying minus charge. And MgCl2, Mg again carrying plus 2 charge. Cl, it's in group 7, must be carrying minus 1. CO2, you need to work out the charges on CO2. Here, oxygen is in group 6, it must be carrying minus 2. So 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, which becomes plus 4 for C. So it must be carrying plus 4 here. What about H2O? H carrying plus charge because it's attached to non-metal, oxygen carrying minus charge. Again, there is no change in oxidation number. So this is also not an example of redox. So C must be the right answer for number 16. Let's move on to number 17. The equation for the reaction between aluminium and copper 2 oxide is shown. 2Al plus 3CuO gives Al2O3 plus 3Cu. Which statements about this equation are correct? Now I'm going to read all these statements and we will narrow down the choices. The oxidation number of aluminium reactant is plus 2. This is incorrect. Why? Because of aluminium does not carry any charge. So it must be carrying 0 as its oxidation number. So if one is incorrect, so A and B is automatically incorrect. Now I have narrowed down the choices. It becomes easier for you to choose between C and D. Either C is correct or D is correct. Now let's check the statement number 2. The oxidation number of the aluminium in the product is plus 6. Now aluminium belongs to group 3 and oxygen belongs to group 6. Here's aluminium. Group 3, it must be carrying plus 3 charge. Group 6, oxygen must be carrying -2 charge. So here aluminum is carrying +3 and oxygen carrying -2 charge. So this statement is also incorrect because aluminum is carrying +3 charge. What about statement number 3? The oxidation number of the copper in the reactant is +2. Oxygen is in group 6, which means oxygen carries -2 charge. It means copper must be carrying +2 charge. The statement is correct. So if 3 is correct, so C must be the right answer. D can't be the right answer. For your convenience, I am reading the last statement also. The oxidation number of the copper product is 0. This is also correct because copper on the product side is the only element that existing in the atomic status must be carrying 0 as its oxidation number. So C is the right choice for this question. Number 18. What is the color of thermophthalate in dilute hydrochloric acid? This is something which you have to learn. So in acids, thermophthalate is colorless. So P must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ. 19. Two acids P and Q with the same concentration and volume are reacted separately with the same mass of magnesium ribbon. The reactions produce the same total volume of hydrogen gas, but acid Q reacts much more quickly than acid P. Which explanation for the difference between P and Q is correct? So Q is reacting slowly, so it must be weak acid. Both of these are acids, so it must be weak acid. And P must be strong acid. Well, let's see these statements. Which explanation for the difference between P and Q is correct? A. Acid P has a higher pH than acid Q. Now, acid P is strong acid, so it must be having lower pH than acid Q. So this is incorrect. B. Acid P has a lower concentration of hydrogen ions. This is also incorrect. It must be having higher concentration of hydrogen ions because it's a strong acid. Strong acid dissociate completely or it produces higher number of hydrogen ions. C. Acid Q is partially dissociated and acid P is fully dissociated. This looks correct to me because if Q is a weak acid, it must be partially dissociated, and acid P, as I have already told you, it's a strong acid, so it will undergo full dissociation. So C must be the right answer. For your convenience, I'm reading the last statement. Acid Q is a proton acceptor. This is incorrect. Both are acid, so both of these are going to donate proton. 20. Which process is not used in the preparation of an insoluble salt? Now we want to make the insoluble salt. You have to undergo filtration. So they are saying not used. So filtration must be used. So A can't be the right answer in this case. What about B? You need to wash. So this is also incorrect. Crystallization. We don't undergo crystallization. We'll go for drying. So this must be the right one. Last one is also incorrect because we undergo drying for the insoluble salt preparation. Number 21. Lithium and potassium are metals. In group 1 of the periodic table, lithium has a melting point of 181 degrees centigrade and a density of 0.53 gram per centimeter cube. Which row describes the melting point and density of potassium? So here's group 1. Group 1, we have lithium and potassium. You know the trend. What is the trend? You have to remember the trend about the melting point and density. Trends in group 1. You have melting point decreases down the group. And density increases down the group. Both the trends are down the group. So potassium, for the potassium, the melting point must be lower than this 181 degrees centigrade. So either A is correct or B is correct. C and D is incorrect. What about the density? Density must be greater than 0.53. So B must be the right answer in this case. 22. Which statements about transition elements are correct? Here we are having transition elements. We call some typical properties of transition elements. They have high density. They don't have low density. So this is incorrect. One is incorrect. So if one is incorrect, both A and B is incorrect. Either C is correct or D is correct. What about number 2? They form ions with variable oxidation numbers. This is correct. So C must be the right answer. D can't be the right answer in this case. For your convenience, I am reading the other statements. They have a high melting point. This is correct. Third statement, 4, they form only colorless compound. This is incorrect. They form colored compound. So C is the right answer for MCQ number 22. 23. Which statements describe the elements in group 8 of the periodic table? But they are talking about group 8 elements. Here we are having group 8 elements. Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, and organoson. These are the group 8 elements. Let's read these statements. Number 1, their atoms have full outer electron shells. Statement number 1 is correct. So if statement number 1 is correct, so either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. Number 2, they are unreactive metals. They are not metals. Remember, they are not metals. They do not react, but they are not metals. Number 3, they are monatomic gases. This statement is correct. So C, A must be the right answer in this case. For your convenience, I'm reading the last statement. They are diatomic gases. This is incorrect. So A is the right choice for MCQ number 23. Next MCQ. 4 metals Q, R, S, and T are each added to separate samples of water, steam, and dilute hydrochloric acid. The results are shown. So we have for Q, it's reacting fast with steam as well as with dilute hydrochloric acid. R, there is no reaction with water, steam, or hydrochloric acid. S, it has no reaction with water, but it's reacting with steam. Slow reaction, again reacting slowly with hydrochloric acid. What about T? It's reacting fast with water and explode on reaction with steam and dilute acid. So from these, I can infer that R must be least reactive. R, least reactive. And T is highly reactive. Now, which statements are correct? Let's see these statements. R is the least reactive. Yes, this statement is correct. So if one is correct, so either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. Statement number 2, T could be potassium. This is also correct because it's highly reactive. So it could be potassium. What about 3? S is more reactive than Q and R. S is more reactive than Q and R. It's more reactive than R, that's for sure, but can't be more reactive than Q because it's reacting very slowly with steam as well as with dilute hydrochloric acid. On the other hand, Q is reacting fast with acid and steam. So this is incorrect. What about 4? Metals generally react faster with steam than they react with water. Yes, this statement is also correct. So 1, 2, 3, 4. A must be the right answer. B is the incorrect response here. So is the final answer. 25. Metal X acts as a sacrificial metal to prevent iron from corroding. Metal X does not act as a sacrificial metal to prevent aluminium from corroding. What is X? Now that X is acting as a sacrificial metal, it's preventing iron from corroding. So it means X more reactive than iron. Fe is the symbol for iron. But it's not acting as sacrificial metal to prevent aluminium from corroding. So it's less reactive. X is less reactive than aluminum. A is the symbol for aluminum. What is X? So it must be below aluminum. We have only one metal that is below aluminum. That is zinc here. Copper is below iron. Correct. Magnesium is above aluminum. It can't be the silver. Below iron. So D is the right answer in this case. 26. Which equation represents the reduction of a compound found in hematite in the blast furnace? So we get iron from hematite. Hematite is Fe2O3. So D is the right answer. All the other choices are incorrect. No need to look at the other choices. Fe2O3 reacts with 3 moles of carbon monoxide to give iron, Fe, and carbon dioxide. 27. Which statements about the treatment of domestic water supplies are correct? I'm reading the 4 statements and we will narrow down the choices. 1. Filtration is used to remove insoluble substances from the water. Yes, this statement is correct. So either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. 2. Sedimentation is used to remove soluble substances from the water. This is incorrect. No need to read the second statement. We are left with 3 and 4. Carbon is used to remove taste and odors from the water. This is correct. So A must be the correct response. For your convenience, I'm reading the last statement. Chlorine is used to lower the pH of the water. Chlorine is not used to lower the pH of water. It's used to kill the germs of bacteria. So B is also incorrect. A will be the final answer for this MCQ. Moving to next MCQ. Which statement about water is correct? A. It turns anhydrous copper 2 sulfate from pink to blue. Anhydrous copper 2 sulfate is white, not pink. So this is incorrect statement. B. It turns anhydrous copper 2 sulfate from white to blue. This looks correct to me. For your convenience, I'm reading the other statements. It turns cobalt to chloride paper from blue to white. This is incorrect. It turns from blue to pink, not white. D. It turns cobalt to chloride paper from pink to blue. It's also incorrect. So B is the right answer in this case. 29. Cupronickel is used to make coins. The arrangement of atoms in cupronickel is shown. We have copper atoms, we have small atoms of copper, and we have big size atoms of nickel. The arrangement of atoms in cupronickel is shown. Which kind of substance is cupronickel? It's an alloy. So A must be the right answer. All the other choices are incorrect for 29. No need to read the other choices. 30. Which physical properties are typical of all metals? Number 1, good heat conductivity. Yes, this statement is correct. If 1 is correct, so A and B both are correct. C and D is incorrect. 2, low density. This is incorrect. 3, malleability. This is correct. So 1 and 3 is correct. B is the right answer in this case. A is wrong. 31. Which oxide is used to neutralize acidic gases in flue gas desulfurization? So we use calcium oxide or metal oxide in flue gas desulfurization. We have calcium oxide in your syllabus, so A must be the right answer in this case. All the other choices are incorrect because all these 3 are acidic oxides. So you can't use acidic oxides to neutralize acidic gases. Calcium oxide is a basic oxide. be the best choice to neutralize the acidic oxides. 32. Some information about three gases P, Q, and R is listed. Gas P forms when magnesium reacts with hydrochloric acid. You know, the gas P, it must be hydrogen. Magnesium is a metal. When it reacts with acid, it will produce hydrogen gas and so on. Gas Q makes up 78% of the air. Nitrogen is a gas. It makes up 78% of the air. Gas R forms when gas P reacts with gas Q. So hydrogen, when you are reacting gas hydrogen with nitrogen gas, you will get ammonia. So it's NH3 or ammonia. What is gas R? A is the right answer. All the choices are incorrect. 33. Which formula represents an alkene? Recall the general formula of alkene, CnH2n. One of these will definitely follow this formula. A can't be the right answer because we have alkene starting from N2. Alkene starts from N2 because of carbon-carbon double bond. It must have two carbon atom. B looks correct to me because it follows the general formula CnH2n. All the other choices are incorrect. The last one is alcohol, not alkene. 34. The structures of two compounds used to make an ester are shown. First one is propanoic acid. And second one is ethanol. What is the name of the ester? Now remember, the ester produced from this, how you're going to predict the name? Alkyl group must be coming from the alcohol. In this case, you will get ethyl. And the alkanoate must be coming from the carboxylic acid. In this case, it's a propanoic acid. So you will be getting propanoate. So the ester must be ethyl propanoate. A is the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ. Which statement about a homologous series is correct? A. All members have the same general formula. Yes, all the members, they follow the same general formula. This looks correct to me. For your convenience, I'm reading the other statements. B. All members have the same molecular formula. This is incorrect. The molecular formula is different for all the members. C. All members have similar physical properties. This is incorrect. They have same chemical properties. D. Members show a trend in their chemical properties. This is also incorrect. They show trend in physical properties. So is the right choice in this case. 36. Which statements about aqueous ethanoic acid are correct? 1. It contains the functional group COOH. Yes, this is correct. So if 1 is correct, so A, B, C, we can have answer from these. D is sure, it's incorrect. 2. It reacts with carbonates to produce hydrogen. It produces carbon dioxide. So if 2 is incorrect, so it's also incorrect. We are left with B and C. 3. It turns universal indicator paper blue. This is also incorrect. It does not turn universal indicator paper blue. It will turn it to red. We are left with 4. It has a pH lower than pH 7. This is correct. It's an acid. Acids have pH lower than 7. 37. Alkenes react with steam in an addition reaction. Some alkenes produce only one alcohol product. Some alkenes produce two different alcohols which are structural isomers. Which row gives the number of alcohol isomers formed when ethene reacts with steam and when propene reacts with steam? Now, they are talking about the number of alcohol isomers. For ethene, you will get only one alcohol, that's ethanol. Its value of N is 2 here. So you have, this is the alcohol you are getting from ethene. You can't have any other isomer for this because you have 2 carbon atoms here. So their isomers are not possible for this one. So number of alcohol isomer form must be 1. So either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. What about propene? For propene, you will get propanol. The displayed formula for propanol is this. This is a displayed formula 1, 2, 3. Now you can place OH either on carbon 1 or on carbon 2. Now the position of OH changing, which means it must have isomers. So it will definitely have 2 isomers because of 2 different positions for this OH. So B must be the right answer in this case. A can't be the right answer. 38. What is an advantage of manufacturing ethanol by fermentation rather than by the addition of steam to ethene? Now we are manufacturing ethanol by fermentation. Now they are saying advantage. Look for the advantage over the method in which we are adding steam to ethene. A, no gases that cause global warming are produced. This is incorrect because we are getting carbon dioxide here, and carbon dioxide is responsible for global warming. CO2 produced. So it's not an advantage, it's a disadvantage in this case. B, the ethanol that is produced is pure. Ethanol produced is not pure because carbon dioxide is also produced, and ethanol is dissolved or soluble in water, which has to be separated through fractional distillation. So this is also incorrect. C, fermentation is a fast process. This is not fast process. This is a batch process. It will take time. Fine. It's a batch process. Slow process. Obviously, choice D is the right one in this case. Fermentation uses renewable gas raw materials. This is the right choice. 29. The diagram shows the structure of a polymer. Here's a polymer. Which structure represents the monomer for this polymer? So I'm going to break it down to get the monomer here. So if we break it down, these will be the monomers in this case. So it must be monomer for this one. A is incorrect, B is incorrect. C looks correct to me. B is also incorrect. These two are same. C is the right answer in this case. Last one, which piece of apparatus is used to measure 24.5 centimeter cube of gas produced during a reaction? You will definitely need apparatus with high accuracy. Sorry, we are getting gas here. So we need measuring cylinder. Straight away measuring cylinder is used. No need to use beaker, conical flask or volumetric flask. Measuring cylinder is used over water trough in order to collect the gas produced. This amount of gas produced during a reaction. Thanks for watching. Press like and share my videos for more videos. Subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon.